Thank you for making 16 WAPT Jackson's #1 news. This is a 16 WAPT News Commitment 2013 special. The Jackson mayoral runoff debate.
Good evening. I'm Dean Jim Rosenblatt of the Mississippi College School of Law. We're very pleased to offer our facility for this debate. We teach our students to examine ideas critically and to look at both sides of a question. Much like that verse in Proverbs that says, the first side that presents their case seems so right until questioned by the other side. WAPT and the Clarion Ledger have provided an opportunity tonight for these candidates' views to be critically analyzed. And serving as our moderators tonight will be Stephanie Maxwell of WAPT News and Sam Hall of the Clarion Ledger. They will go over the ground rules, introduce the candidates, and are at your disposal to ask questions tonight. Good evening.
Thank you so much, Dean Rosenblatt, and thank you again for joining us this evening. All of you some of you back again for this second debate. We are glad to have you for this informative event. Sam will introduce the candidates in just a few minutes, but we do want to go over the rules of the debate tonight. Each candidate will have a minute for an opening statement, then we'll ask questions from the Clarion Ledger and 16 WAPT. There will be 2 opportunities for the candidates to ask the other a question, and then we'll end the night with a 1-minute closing statement from both. Now, Sam is going to explain the coin toss that we did just a few minutes ago, and then after that, he will introduce those candidates, and then we will get the debate going. Now, after those introductions, there will be no more applause until the end of the debate. Sam.
We had a coin toss right before to decide who would go first, and tonight Jonathan Lee will speak first with our opening statements and our closing statements, and Councilman Shockway Lumumba will go second, both with our opening and closing. So now, if you will, help greet the candidates. First, we have Jonathan Lee. And Councilman Shockway Lumumba. Councilman Lumumba. We'll go ahead and start our opening remarks with you, Mr. Lee.
Good evening. I want to thank WAPT and the Clarion Ledger, MC Law School, and the viewers and everyone attending the debate tonight. You know, this is my family's legacy that brought me here tonight, and I'm real proud to be a part of tonight's event. This is about the love of my city, and the love of my city brought us to this point. I love what we can be here. And so during the course of this election, we focused on what we call those core issues: crime, opportunities for employment, rebuilding the infrastructure, and of course, education, because education is the bedrock. The other 3 don't get any better. I look forward to talking through the issues tonight, shedding some light on ideas, and look forward to sharing a real plan that will help generate results for the city of Jackson.
Thank you, Mr. Lee. Councilman Lumumba.
I'm Shockway Lumumba, and I'm the brother with the Christian, with the African name, but I'm also a human rights activist, been so for about 30 years. I'm a businessman. I'm a lawyer. I've been a lawyer for over 37 years, and I'm a member of the city council. And in all of these areas of life, I've been involved in a warm embrace with people in order to make positive change. In the city council, we've had an opportunity to give pay raises to the workers of the city of Jackson. We've had an opportunity to save JTRAN and to keep it alive so people could have services and jobs. And as we look forward into the future, I'm the person with the plan that's been there for 4 years in our platform, which is on the internet. And it's important to look at the scope of what we are going to do, because we're going to take the crumbling infrastructure and convert it into economic growth, make it the kind of growth that's going to put jobs in our communities and make businesses work in our communities to a better advantage. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. We're going to start with Mr. Lee for the questions this evening. First one, the group Friends of Jonathan Lee is running an ad about the councilman's past comments, the questions the Democratic Party, President Obama, police, and Christian beliefs. In a 16 WAPT interview, you called the councilman a heck of a guy. Is this signaling a change in tone in your campaign?
Absolutely not. You know, through the last week and a half, our campaign has been hit consistently by Councilman Lumumba's campaign that we think with characterizations that were just patently untrue, questioning the fact that I'm a Democrat, questioning whether or not I've been truthful about what I am. And so rather than do the same thing, we decided to let the councilman speak for himself. And what we did was we put up some sound bites from a speech that was given by Councilman Lumumba.
Yeah. You know, actually what he did is put up some distorted, out of context statements on things which really don't tell the truth. But regardless of that, it's important to point out that my campaign has not distorted anything about Jonathan Lee. We ask questions. We say that Jonathan Lee walks in the door and says that he's a businessman, and then we find out that his business has gone in default several different times, 4 times in about 10 years at our count. Then we ask the question, what kind of businessman is he really? And then when we find out that he says, well, it's really not his business, it's his mama's business, then we ask, are you throwing your mother under the bus? This is what we do. And so this is the question. And on the Republican issue, look, we're not raising any questions about what you are, at least I'm not. All I'm saying is that that your support seems to be awfully Republican. They've given $1.2 million to Republican causes. They voted overwhelmingly against Obama and for Romney. So those are very Republican-looking things, and I'm trying to figure out how you can be the friend of the people, and yet your friends are not friends of the people.
Councilman Lumumba, let me just stop you there, because the fact is.
Remember, no clapping, please, no applause.
I just want to, you know, and I didn't come here to fight with you tonight. In fact, I'd like to talk about the issues. But the facts are that we have been in business for 22 years, and as you know, being an attorney, businesses have disputes, and we're working through a current dispute. It happens just as it happens in the city. That's nothing unusual. But as it relates to these sound bites, I invite people to go and see for themselves. The YouTube channel, Elect Chokwe Lumumba, I believe the speech is there in its entirety. Let the people judge for themselves. I sit here and say without any second thought that I don't think we took you out of context at all. And furthermore, the fact is I am a second-generation person running a family business. And my mother, I would never throw under the bus. I mean, I think that's just an unfair characterization. I am responsible for the decisions that were made. But when asked, do I own the business? I don't. My mother is yet alive. And I'm proud of the legacy that we have there on the corner of Valley Street and Raymond Road. I'm proud that we've been hiring African Americans in our community. This has been a good thing for me and a good thing for my family, and we have contributed tremendously in this community.
Mr. Lee, let me actually ask you a follow-up question. What do you say to the voters who say that ad is divisive for Jackson?
You know, again, it was nothing that came out of my mouth. The ad accurately depicted what was said in the speech. And again, I invite voters to go and see for themselves.
Yeah, I invite voters to see for themselves, too. Let's take, for instance, the police department. Every single thing that the police department in Jackson has asked for, I have voted for. All the things that the firemen have asked for, I have voted for. Now, that's a matter of record. I have a wonderful relationship with people like Lee Vance and really with all the brass and really with the rank and file. I go to my ward and sometimes meet the beat officers to ask them various different questions. So there's no question about what I believe in as far as police is concerned. I'm no friend of crime. My son was shot in the head in 1993, and so by a criminal's bullet, and I got a problem with crime just like anybody else does. But if you were around long enough, then what you would know is that historically, police departments look different than they do now. And what they used to do is they used to harass people, they used to oppress people, they used to shoot people, they used to kill people. And because we are talking to a group of activists, we have to say naturally, since we have problems with the police, but then we have to try to update them and say,
Councilman
now
Lumumba,
the police are our brothers.
I believe that video was taken in 2009.
Now our police are our brothers. Now they're our sisters. Now they are our cousins. So we have to have a different organizing approach rather than just disliking the police. That was video, also in the speech.
That video was taken in 2009, and furthermore, I just want to point out, if we're going to talk about your record,
what I'm saying is that in 2009,
if we're going to talk about your record and what you've done for the police, let's talk about the fact on June 22nd, 2010, Mayor Harvey Johnson proposed a cut of JPD, a third of their budget, and you were absent. Well, let's talk about the fact the Jackson Public Schools were able to get a resource grant for resource officers for JPS on June 30th, 2010, and once again, you were absent. That's the record. I mean, if we want to talk about supporting the police, that means in your capacity, sir, you must be present.
Oh, well, you know, actually, if you have bothered to figure out the times when I was absent, when I was sick, then you should, with pneumonia, okay, at a particular point in time, then you should also go to the times that I voted for various different police equipment, that I always vote for the things that are requested by the police. That's also a matter of record, and you have to be there to vote for those things. And so, you know, what you need to do is to look at the entire record, to understand the entire record, and to understand that I, as a councilman, have certainly been friendly to the police, and am friendly to the police in every respect. The police respect me, and I respect them. And so it's an out of character and out of context statement. In 2009, we're teaching activists that they have to have a different program than you had back 20 years ago if you're going to organize in these communities and be effective. That's what I'm doing. I'm doing a common good.
Councilman.
Let's move on to our next question real quick, and it's somewhat follows up from here. This question is for you, Councilman Lumumba.
Yeah.
Over the past quarter century, there's been an exodus of middle class and upper middle class citizens, both black and white, from the city.
Right.
And right or wrong, based upon some of the statements that we're discussing here right now, that you've made in the past, there's a perception that as mayor, you will favor black citizens and businesses to the exclusion of white citizens, or that you might be too divisive to work with some of our neighbors in the suburbs. So what would